a Playlist original.
Welcome to Back to the Blockbuster, where the movies we love and sometimes love to hate take center stage. I'm Gaz. If it's trending, making headlines, or stirring up controversy in Hollywood, we're covering it. Let's roll. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to an episode of the Back to the Blockbuster with your host Gaz and Jackson. Jackson is not on with us today because he is busy with work and exams. But I do have some guys that you are familiar with. We have Alex and Dean from the Return Revenge Resurrection podcast. They haven't been on in a while. Very excited to talk about this particular horror film for its movie anniversary. But before we do that, hello. Good to see you guys again.
Hey. Thanks for having us. Yep.
It's always a good time. I love when we do these because we clearly, I still regret the only one that I asked you about that didn't, it's not like it didn't work out. It wasn't as fun of a reboot. It was the Friday the 13th remake that we did together. But still fun to talk about it.
I'm glad we covered that, and then we're covering this movie because I mean this movie is commenting on that movie. So I feel like we've come full circle with that.
Totally.
Yeah. So it made complete sense to do it. So hopefully this will be a better rewatch experience for you guys and one for us to discuss. But before we do that, so you guys haven't been on in a while, catch us up on what's new with you guys, what's new with the podcast, anything you guys want to share about your show as well.
Yeah, sure. First of all, very excited to be here, be back on the show. We are Return Revenge Resurrection. We have a podcast that is about horror movies, specifically about horror franchises. We walk through the franchises. We cover the good movies, the bad movies, and everything in between. And currently, we are going through Psycho, which is very fun, a very fun time, a franchise that both of us had not seen a lot of the sequels. So
a huge surprise.
Yes, we are enjoying that as we go through. So if you want to check us out, you can hop over to Return Revenge Resurrection and you'll find the latest, probably Psycho episode there.
So not to give away too much about what you have coming up with that, we covered Psycho 2 last year when we were doing our Tales from Horror, and one of the big takeaways from Psycho 2 is, at least for me, because it was one of the first times I had seen it, was that it is a lot better than it has any right to be.
Right,
being a sequel to a classic horror movie like that. Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, this is like not, of course, not going to be Psycho. It definitely has a DNA of like 80s horror films. It's gory. It has moments of gore that like the original doesn't have, of course, but it's a lot smarter than it has any right to be, and it kind of, I don't know, it works. I was surprised. Now what's funny is that I like that one, but I haven't taken the time to watch the third one or the fourth, so don't know how those are. But I do like. I do actually think Psycho 2 is much better than it has any right to be.
So like I expected. After the second movie, I'm like, okay, eventually this franchise has to go off the rails. It's got to lose me at some point. We just covered the third movie, and we're not there yet. Like, it's still, this franchise is still great. I'm still fully invested.
Yeah, it goes off the rails in the best type of way. It's it's wacky, and it's fun, and it's great.
I've heard that about the third movie too now. Now I feel like I do need to see it because I trust you guys' opinion on stuff. And someone else told me that, third one is not that bad either, and I was like, all right, it must be that fourth one where things go like hard, right?
It opens with a nun screaming God's not real, and then as she's trying to kill herself by throwing herself out of a bell tower, she knocks another nun backwards. The nun hits her head on the bell. So you get this big gong, and then that nun hits the ground and dies. It's just insane. Like, you can't believe what you're watching.
It's a great opening.
And that's what we call cinema, guys.
Yeah, that's cinema right there. And you possibly find out later in the movie that she screamed "God's not real" because she was horny, which is interesting. Interesting for a nun to do.
That's what I scream when I'm horny. Yeah.
God's not real. Are you guys doing the remake as well? The Van Zandt? Nope. Now that one I have watched fairly recently because one of my friends wanted to watch it, and it was he thought like maybe you'll like enjoy it. 'Cause I was like, I remember watching it and never wanted to watch it again. And what I took from rewatching it was like cool little experiment, I guess, for Gus Van Sant to do that because he had all the power and money in the world at the time post Good Will Hunting, and he chose to do that. And I guess that's the best way to look at it. It was a pretty unique experiment that didn't quite work out.
That's a weird one. Yeah, I've seen parts of it. I think when I was younger on television. So interested to get to that one now that we are kind of working our way to it and see if we like it or don't. I'm expecting us not to like that one.
But I'm excited for it.
But I'm still excited.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, to watch that one, the fresh lens, like that's probably gonna be really fun for you guys to watch. That will be a fun episode to listen to because it'll be interesting to see how you guys feel about it.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Because like you know what, they're much like the movie that we're going to cover today. There's always these movies that get reappraised years after they come out. I don't know if I've seen that so much with the Psycho remake. There could be some people that go like, for the moment in time that it came out, like, hey, like this thing happened, we did this thing, and like and all these like big, kind of high profile names are interested in doing it. Like it's a pretty good cast too. On top of that, and I don't know. Like sometimes, like a lot of these movies do get like reevaluated later as like, you guys just didn't get it then. It was brilliant.
Right.
And don't know if that one's gotten there yet, but it could.
I haven't heard any reclaiming of Psycho remake. I haven't heard that. So.
No, but I am kind of there with this movie. So like, I didn't love Scream 4 when I first watched it, and truthfully, this is only the second time that I've seen it, just because I didn't care for it so much the first time. I kind of loved it this time around.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I feel the way. So like we're covering Scream 4 for its 15th anniversary. We have covered all the Scream movies for their milestone anniversaries on the show. Our first anniversary episode ever, way back in the day, was for Scream, and we kind of feel like it's a good luck charm because like they tend to be our best performing episodes when we do cover the anniversaries, because I guess no matter how long this franchise go on, it is immensely popular. It has a pretty devoted fan base, as we just saw with Scream 7. Whether you liked it or not, it's the highest grossing film of the franchise to date, domestically and worldwide. So it still has life in it, and people have revisited a lot of the films, especially when the new ones come out. And I feel like Scream 4 has been revisited and reappraised and valued a bit more than it was when it came out 15 years ago. And some of the things that maybe people thought were far-fetched then seem very spot on now. It foreshadowed a lot of especially the obsession with like internet culture and fame, and fame based on achieving a lot by doing nothing, which is what our Jill Roberts, played by Emma Roberts, is obsessed with. She wants all this kind of, and which is that she gives away a lot in the dialogue during her killer reveal, which, watching it now, and I know we'll talk about it more later, like her dialogue in that scene. I remember when I first saw the movie, I was like, I don't know if this is working for me. I like in the theater, but then like subsequent rewatches, I was like, oh, I get it. I'm taking what she's putting down. Emma Roberts is a lot better than I remembered it the first time when I saw it in theaters. Yep. She gets better each time I watch it. And I think because the way culture changed in real life after that movie came out, it becomes a much more like, all right, I get what Kevin Williamson was trying to say. And I think it works a lot better today than probably it did 15 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like in 2011, we were so, like, it was so of the time that when I'm listening to what she's saying, and I think I think we were too far into it where I was like fighting against it. I'm like, I don't let, I live this, live hearing this every day. This is society. I don't like this right now. Like, this is not what I want. So I feel like I needed some distance away from, even though we're still pretty much in it. I think we were it was like so in your face at that time. And maybe because I'm older now too and don't pay attention to anything, like the world, like I'm here and the world is way over there. It left me behind a long time ago. So it's just I feel like I have more of a separation from it where now I can appreciate it more, and it's not like, oh God, I don't need more of this.
Yeah, the foresight this movie has though on the influencers, like that wasn't a thing in 2011.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
Like
Right.
Twitch streaming like started up in 2011 in like June. So this movie was already out before, you know, Twitch even existed.
Yeah.
And like nowadays you just influencers are so famous, making so much money, you know, more than some of the biggest professions we thought about before then back in 2011. So this movie just keeps getting better and better and better as the time goes on, and watching it, revisiting it again now for this show, you just see it. It's all there. It's like, wow, this was actually like way ahead of its time. Them just like streaming the kills was way ahead of its time.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I would have the same reaction now if like the newest Scream, Ghostface had like an OnlyFans page. All right, you'd sign up to Ghostface's OnlyFans page. I'd be like, nah, no, we're too close into it. Yeah.
I would watch that movie. That one specifically, I would watch. But
I mean,
I'm sure it exists.
Yeah,
probably does. In some fan circles, I'm sure it does exist.
Yeah, probably. It's always somewhere on the internet, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you see movies coming out nowadays that do what this movie did, like Spree. That movie with Joe Keery is exactly this. He wants to increase his followers, and so he starts killing people to increase his followers because that's his big, brilliant idea. And you know, it's a really fun movie, and that just came out a couple of years ago. You know, and this was this movie, and this was 15 years ago. It's shocking.
Yeah, the new Face of the Death kind of dabbles in that too, with like all the stuff that you're seeing on the internet, and like, you know, people being obsessed with in this case, like they're talking about like streaming, like live streaming the murders, because that's like the new thing that people want to see. And this obsession now with people seeing it and not really caring if it's real or not, like it's just like it's kind of like entertainment at all costs kind of thing. And yeah, this movie kind of comments on it in such a almost flippant kind of way that's like, oh, like, you know, I think Kevin Williamson, who kind of always has been, at least in this genre and like with a little bit with youth culture, has always had his button on that, and or his finger on the button on that, and he really understood that and saw it. I mean, it's hard not to see it when we were kind of immersed in like we had the Paris Hiltons and Nicole Richies and their Kardashians, all these people who were emerging out of for, even though they are established as, you know, business women and all that stuff, like the main detriment that they kind of went through in the media by people judging them was like they were famous for doing nothing. And there was that whole, kind of stuff associated with that. And there was this one point, I mean, I guess Jill even says, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, go to school, like work? Like, the way she said it, like, you know, that's the attitude that like a lot of these people that want to like emulate these people feel like, you know, they kind of see like, oh, they're not professional like actors, athletes. They're not in real estate sales. They're not even doing anything that like they required to like go to school for. They were just famous for either being themselves or, you know, in Jill's case, having, you know, fucked up shit happen to you, which I think it also was a great line in hindsight too. Like it's just like he really understood that is where this stuff was going. I mean, this kind of all hints at like what we were going to get with like TikTok and like everything like that. So yeah, I mean, I think that's why maybe people didn't really get it then. It's the lowest grossing of the Scream films, domestically and worldwide. But I would say that and I could be wrong, and people can comment on it when this episode comes out, but I think it has grown into the fan favorite of the bunch. Like, you know, people love Scream, they love Scream 2, but every franchise has the fan favorite, and I think this one might be the one.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I hear amongst my friends, that this is the one that has grown in popularity over the years, and in doing so is like kind of risen up people's rankings of the franchise. I know for me, definitely. I mean, I always did love it. I did love it when I saw it in theaters, but it's just it's never fallen down for me. And I think the movie's just, it's so good. We're talking about like the internet causing some of these things, you know, that Jill is so interested in, the fame that she's interested in, but it's not really just the internet. The internet makes it easier to access, but it is it is just the obsession that people have with crimes and victims and murderers. And that's where Sydney gets famous in the first place, right? Sydney gets famous and Jill sees this for doing nothing, for just being a victim. And that's what kind of spurs her on. And it is just the time in which this movie takes place that they are using the internet to do that, to get her famous. And then like that does turn out to be where our future went. But it is also focusing on that like obsession that people have with this like true crime. And like Sydney is more famous in this movie than the actresses who play her in the movie. You know, like in Stab, she's more famous to that cinema club than getting like Jamie Lee Curtis would have been.
And getting an actual star,
yeah. So that is like very interesting that that's what they took in this movie.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's it's interesting too because Jill obviously did not read Out of Darkness because she learned all the wrong things from like Sydney's trauma. Sydney was like, I did not really want to go through this. Her, she established this that she doesn't want to be a victim and she refuses to be one. Jill kind of sees it as like, well, all that notoriety you got came from like all the things that happened to you that were beyond your control, and I kind of want that for myself. But
without having to go through, without having to go through all the trauma.
Yeah, she has to manufacture it herself. Like she has to manufacture like all the victimhood that she will go through. And I think that's what's interesting. Because I had to write something for the 15th anniversary for the website I write for, and one of the things I really honed in on was that you don't really get to know the real Jill until after she stabs Sydney in the gut and she takes that mask off. Everything else about her. She cultivated her friend group. I think she cultivated the whole like thing with the boyfriend. There's like nothing about her before that feels real. It all seems like she was just studying like what Sydney's life was like and really copied that and made sure that she would be in the position to appear so innocent that you would never suspect her. Now, I will say this about how, because the Scream films are known for their opening scenes and for the killer reveals, and some are better than others. This one is probably my third favorite of the reveals. I still like Scream 1 is like the best one to me, and the Scream 2 I think handles that reveal pretty well.
Yeah,
and I think the Jill reveal also got better with time, because I don't think everyone loved it back then. But I think they appreciate it more now because at least I didn't see it coming. Charlie, yes, because like he was weird and off-putting and like whatever. It had to be one of those two from Cinema Club. But Jill completely caught me off guard. And watching it for this, and I don't even know if you guys feel the same way, I kept looking for hints of like, does she give anything away, Emma Roberts, in her performance that hones in on like, oh, it could be her? And I really don't notice anything up until she reveals herself. But I don't know if you guys feel the same way. But they did a good job of like hiding that and making it completely surprising, because when I saw it in theaters, I didn't expect it, and I still think it delivers on being completely surprising when it does happen.
Yeah, but I think you had to have watched it when it came out, because now I think if someone hadn't seen the movie, they go watch it now. Emma Roberts has been in enough like American Horror Stories, things like that, where she shows up and you're just like, okay, yeah, it's probably gonna be her. Even if they don't show it, you're still thinking, all right, there's a chance it's her.
Yeah.
I think this reveal is very shocking, though. I think for me, it is my number 2, with Scream being number 1, and then this reveal being my number 2. And it's because of the way they set everyone up. Like they definitely set up Trevor to be like the obvious one, so everyone knows it's not Trevor, because it's so obvious. It's too obvious for us to think Trevor. So then us watching the movie, knowing it's a Scream movie, we start to think, okay, who is it going to be? And we all, I think, go to Charlie. Like that one makes sense. It's going to be Charlie for sure. So they give us that first. So it is a little underwhelming, because we all thought of it. We thought it's definitely going to be Charlie. So it's a little underwhelming when it is him. We're like, yeah, of course. So then it hits really hard when it's Jill, because I don't think you can see that coming at all, especially the way they're making like analogs from the first movie of people in this movie. So you have Jill is Sydney. So you would never think that it's going to be Jill. You're already placing yourself at like, okay, Jill's our Sydney. She's going to be the victim. That's how we're lined up here. And then when it is her and it does become her as the killer, and she just like goes off, like Emma Roberts I was excited for Emma Roberts
It's
coming
like
into this movie. You get like an
Switch
hour of her.
switch. Like
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like yeah, totally different performance after that.
Yeah, you get an hour of her doing nothing or more than that. And you're like, if you're excited for Emma Roberts and then you start this movie, you're like, okay, I guess this is fine. I guess she's doing a fine job. And then you're like, this is why we have Emma Roberts here. She just turns it on, flips the switch. She does like all that stuff that when she's just, monologuing, giving all her reasons, going absolutely insane, obviously running into stuff and hurting herself. All
Jesus,
great. Like all that stuff is so awesome. And it just adds to the reveal. Like I get so excited getting to the end of this movie. It sometimes reveals can bring a movie down a bit, and this definitely doesn't. This definitely elevates the movie up to even a better spot.
Yeah, the third act is great. I think sometimes especially some of the later sequels like have suffered a little bit in the third act, but this one, like even watching it for this, I was like, it gets more exciting as it goes to that. I think Wes Craven, and this was his last movie before he passed away too. I think did a good job, like handling all that, pretty well. And I know there was a lot of like reading about it. I didn't know this at the time, but I guess I should have assumed because it's Dimension Films and this was the, Bob Weinstein and that crew that there were still behind the scenes issues per se. Like screenplay wise, Kevin Williamson had to deal with them a lot, and Aaron Kruger, who wrote Scream 3, came in and did rewrites on the movie when Bob Weinstein wanted them to punch up stuff. But even with all those problems, and you can kind of see it a little bit. I know that Trevor Deacon Sordello's role got cut down a lot, and a lot of that had to do with Wes Craven feeling like he was already a red herring too much. And I guess the other scenes he had made him an obvious red herring, so they cut a lot of his stuff. The girl who plays I believe it's Olivia, who has like one of the best goriest death scenes in the movie. Some of her scenes were cut before her big death scene, and then actually Jill's mother, her role got cut down a lot, so only 2 scenes, to the point where the actress didn't even go to the premiere because she was like, I was in this more, and now I'm only in 2 scenes that don't really add up too much. So it is interesting that you can see where I think I noticed where there were a lot of cuts and a lot of different maybe some cuts in the kitchen, but I still think they pulled it off despite all of that.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Successful. Yeah, it's interesting to know that because Mary McDonnell, who plays Kate, is like she's like a good actress and she's like a big, pretty big actress, but weird to be in just like 2 scenes in a Scream movie. So that's why when I watched this and saw her there, I always forget she's in it because it's like she's barely in it, right? She has nothing to do in it. And so that's funny. That's funny to hear that like it was cut down. That's why they have her here, and that's why it's always weird when you see her.
Yeah. Well, I was reading too the whole scene at the end with the in the hospital, like that was all tacked on at the end too. It was originally just supposed to end with Jill being pulled out of the house, and you hear a police officer say, "Oh, we still have someone alive in here," and that's where it was going to end. Cliffhanger, setting up.
They're going to give Sydney amnesia from what I heard. This was supposed to start a whole new trilogy, I guess, and Jill was supposed to be part of that. The movie didn't do well enough for them to continue that, but so like I think that would have been a cool way to kind of end it on a cliffhanger. Would have been interesting. The hospital stuff is fun. It's a little absurd.
It's ridiculous.
All that gun firing going off, and like no one in the hospital hears it and comes checks on anyone at all. But whatever, you just let it roll because it's a horror movie. But there's a lot of stuff that kind of like you could tell that they didn't quite know either how to end it or what to do. And as we know, Dimension Films, the YCs, they were always, even with the first Scream, like heavily involved in what they wanted, and that was always a bone of contention for Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson. And despite all that, though, I think they got through this franchise, at least while they were with Dimension, like fairly well, considering how much they were involved in, picking things apart during production and during the editing process. I read a lot of stuff that was just like, upset a lot of the actors. I mean, this was like a known thing, I guess, for the veterans of the franchise, like Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette. They have already lived through like, hey, like when they did Scream 2, where like some of like the ending got leaked, so they had to like redo all that, and like it was a different set of killers in, and they had to reshoot it, all that stuff. So they know that like I guess like on the Scream movie like this is normal. I guess at least at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
they were used to it, but like some of the newer people were not used to it, even though they had fun doing it. They all speak highly of it even now, but some of them have expressed that it was a little bit rough because of all the changes that were going on during production.
Yeah, the hospital stuff is goofy, and it does. The movie at that point does kind of fall into the traps and the tropes that I feel like the rest of the movie is like a commentary on. So
Yeah.
it does fall a little bit for me in the hospital portion.
It does, but I think they save it, and I think they save it in two ways. And one way
Oh,
is
that line.
yeah, one way is calling it out and being like, "What are we doing? This was supposed to end at the house. Why are we at the hospital?" So I like that. But then the second way to save it is we go outside after that entire hospital scene. We go outside and all the reporters are talking about Jill. She already had them talking about her. She didn't have to go and try to kill Sydney in the hospital bed. She got what she wanted. She just didn't know. She didn't know that she had already gotten famous like she wanted. So I kind of liked that ending where, she was there.
Yeah.
She didn't have to do it.
I love Amber Roberts' reaction to like Dewey telling her that Sydney's still alive, and she's just like, "What?" Like she's just so like obviously like not happy about it. Oh, I saw her like they get stabbed. She's just like so mad, and then she does that like kind of fake when he leaves the room, like he's like gets to sleep, and she like does that fake like go to sleep for like 2 seconds, and then just like, no, I got to get up and like kill this bitch because like this, I got plans, and she can't fuck it up. Like it's like she's so determined to even like do it there. Like her plan is falling apart by the time it happens at the hospital. Like she's like, I don't really care how I get it done here, but it's gonna get done. It's something about her like determination, even in that moment, that is like kind of funny and really just speaks to her that her will to become famous at all costs, even though that this part of her plan was definitely like not planned out at all whatsoever. She's improvising at that point.
Don't get me wrong, like it's still entertaining. I just I think that it does kind of go against what the rest of the movie was trying to do.
And we do have to talk about Dewey because his scene there in the hospital, he's the worst policeman. He's just doing no police work at all, and he always needed help, but like there's something about him in this movie that I do not care for. Like I like Dewey as a character, especially alongside Gale. You have Gale who's so feisty. You need kind of Dewey there to just be beside her and be the policeman that she can manipulate. That's always great. But she can't really manipulate him in this movie. And I don't know, it's worse for me, the Dewey in this movie than other ones, because he just sucks at being a cop. That's it.
Don't make him the sheriff.
He's more bumbling than usual, and it's funny because I guess I read too that when he did this one going into it, he wanted them to make it appear that he was better at doing like police work, and I was like, I don't see it. I mean, he's always endearing because the way David Arquette plays him. I think David Arquette makes Dewey more enduring than maybe how the character's like written. But Dewey is still not a great police officer at all, and it doesn't help that he is surrounded by others who aren't that great either. I mean, like Pete Hicks, Marley Sheldon is a good addition. She's fun. She's like spooky in all the right ways because they try not to set her up as a red herring too, especially in that scene with at Jill's house where she's like hiding in the corner in the dark and she like talks to Cindy and like basically like, do you remember me from high school? And then I was happy when they brought her back in the fifth one because that was like a nice little like just bring her back as well. But like she's probably the better of his associates, and then like Haas and Perkins are just useless. Like they're the reason Olivia dies. They're like, well, it's also like running around 2 houses down. So then I went that way. He's like, and I went that way, and then we just basically like crossed each other on our way back. Like they're not smart either. So it's a whole bumbling office of Woodsboro.
Yeah, the entire office
finest.
Is bumbling around.
But I mean, you kind of make Dewey suck at everything in this movie. He sucks as a husband. He sucks as the sheriff. That it's impossible to be on his side at any time in the movie, other than the fact that, like like you said, Gaius, like you just like David Arquette.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what's interesting too, as everyone knows, like David Arquette and Courtney Cox, their history in these movies in real life, I think how it was described by a lot of people was that they were flirting in Scream. They were dating by Scream 2, they were married by Scream 3, and then full on separated by the time they did this one. And like they were not together, and I guess like they still managed to like, they're professional, they're actors, whatever, old enough to know better not to like make it a scene by causing tension by working together. And even though like knowing that in real life they were separated, they still have pretty good chemistry in this one. And I think it kind of the tension that was maybe going on in real life really translated well here because she wants to be valued and understood because she's like kind of lost her purpose without because it's interesting because like Sydney doesn't want or need the attention that comes along with being associated with all the Woodsboro stuff, but Gail has made a career out of it. I mean, even before like the first Stab movie, like by like writing a book about Sydney's mother, so like she's been so immersed in all this stuff, so she kind of needs it. And in this movie, she doesn't really feel value. She's always trying to prove to Dewey how valuable she is to like solving these things. And I do think that he is, and I know it's just written this way, he was a little mean in how he handled her wanting to help, because at the end of the day, she may not be, a proper person involved in the investigation, but she has certainly helped across those 3 previous movies where her help would have been warranted and probably he should have been listened to before he finally does decide to like listen to it. So like, yeah, I thought it was interesting that he's like pretty off-putting to her about wanting to be involved, but I don't know, I guess that's just how it was written for this one though.
Yeah, I think Kevin Williamson seemed to have a better grasp on the new younger characters than he did on the legacy characters. I think even Sydney in this movie, like I don't really care about her in this. Like if she would have been killed off, fine. Like I don't know. I didn't care. I don't know. Like she didn't mean it. Her like writing the book, which it's like probably cathartic for her, but also like you're putting something out there, so you should like expect other people to ask you about it. But then at the same time, she's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want this want this attention. I'm like, pick a lane. All right. I don't know.
And then coming back to the town 50 years after the original murders.
Right.
Like, like, why is this happening? Like, oh, well, I wonder why. I mean, your arrival is perfectly timed to like that anniversary. Yeah. And that's always been like I think what they struggle with, it really establishing like, how do we bring her back in a way that makes sense? And I think that's going to be an issue. They're already in development on the 8th one. I don't know if she's going to be in it. She finally got her proper payday for Scream 7 plus some like box office backing, so she might want to come back for another one. But I think that's always been the hardest thing about like, okay, how do we really find a way that makes sense to bring her back? Gail's always made sense because at least she works in the media, so like there's always like going to be like a media presence, so like that makes sense.
Yep, I had no problem with her in this movie. I thought of the 3 legacy characters, I had no issues with her. I thought she did a great job. Courtney Cox was awesome in this movie.
This is my other than Scream 2, this is probably my favorite like stuff that she does, and at least in the sequels, like that she's like this is like the most like I think authority she has in some of the other compared to some of the other movies. She actually has like a convincing like and believable arc in it too, where like so like I think and in some of the ones that have followed this one that they've kind of like I think it's hard with all the legacy characters. Like sometimes they feel shoehorned in, sometimes they feel like they are meant to be there. When they brought Sydney back for Scream 2022, like she felt shoehorned in, even though it was great to see her. But speaking as someone who's like loves Dev Campbell and loves his character, like after a few rewatches, I was like, she don't really need to be there. She's all like happily married with kids. Like, why is she coming back? Like, I mean, like, and they try to make it like an excuse as like, oh, wait, her basically her extended family's there. Like, that's like Dewey and like even Gail and like, and she wants to help. Like, it's kind of like new generation deal with like what's going on. But there is no way that like her husband would let her like do that. I mean, I'm like, oh, like no, like you want to bring like danger to our doorstep because like your past is coming back calling you and wanting you to help out. Like, no, you already did your time. Let them handle it. Like, don't get involved.
Well, I kind of felt the same way too about the I Know What You Did Last Summer movie from what was that last year it came out.
Yeah.
Like and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Like of course I love Jennifer Love Hewitt, but I mean she doesn't really seem like she needs Stephen B in this movie. I don't know why she was there. It didn't seem like she really wanted to be there either in some of her scenes. It was very strange. Yeah.
Even though she expressed how excited she was to be coming back, I was like, well, I didn't quite see it.
I didn't feel it. Nope.
I felt it. I am excited like when Sydney's in this movie, but I know what you're saying here, Alex, that like there isn't like a big reason why she needs to be in this movie. Like I think she does need to be there for kind of Jill's arc, but she doesn't have her own. You know, she doesn't really have her own good arc. Gale is definitely the one with the best arc in this movie from the legacy characters. She is having trouble writing another book. You know, she's got writer's block. I love when people like type in when they're trying to write a book and they type in like, I have no fucking idea where to start. I love that. I used to do that when I would write papers
all the time. Yeah.
Just like, I have no fucking idea where to start.
Like, loading a real frustration. Like no one sees yeah. Definitely know that.
at least you're getting it out. Yeah, so I like that, you know. And then she sees like Sydney roll into town, who again is famous for no reason, right? It has a book out just because she was a victim. So again, you get into the people that get excited when people start dying, and Gale is one of them because then she has something to write. Yeah, she's got material. She's so pumped. Yeah. She goes and sets up cameras, and she's like, "I'm gonna catch someone get murdered. This is gonna be great." I'm back, baby. And I just like her and like the publicist of Sydney.
Oh, Alison Brie.
Alison Brie's character, Rebecca, I think, is like, she gets so pumped once people start getting murdered, right? It just means more books, it means more sales, and so everybody capitalizing on.
She's like so excited. She's like on the phone with. She's just like 2 teenagers are murdered. Like she's just so excited,
so pumped. She's so pumped about it. Yeah. It's great. All that's great. So yeah, this Gale is, you know, she's trying to help too, because she did actually help a lot in the first couple of movies. And just because like Dewey, you know, this is bringing back to what you were saying, Gaius, like just because Dewey was like interested in her early, she was allowed to manipulate, she was able to manipulate him into helping. But now that like they're married, he's just going to say no. He's not even going to listen to her. Like, come on. Like that's, that's kind of mean. Like she actually did help. Maybe you got manipulated back then, but like she helped you solve it. And at the end of this movie,
needed that input in each movie. I mean, she was like in the second one, she's the one that brings up the whole, like, you know, her having the camera footage where like, that means that they're watching, like, you know, let's look at all these tapes and like, maybe we can find them. Like she has always been a valuable part of that legacy trio. And of course, like, you know, we all love Sydney, but like, there are a lot of fans that bring up that Gale is like the unsung hero of this franchise too. I mean, like, and she is just, I mean, I would say just as important, like in certain ways. And I also like the growth that they have her go through each, you know, movie, and like having her not just be, you know, she starts to just being like a kind of in her own way of things, seeking like media personality until, you know, she isn't, when she is surrounded by people who matter to her and like she wants to like help them survive. So yeah, I that was one of the things like watching it this time where I was like, yeah, Dewey is like so like this whole like, no, you can't be involved, and like no, like even though like she's done more than you and most times throughout some of these movies. I mean, not saying that he's not helpful, but like she definitely is like the brains in that duo at least. Yeah. So for him to be so like off-putting was like crazy to me. Yeah. But one thing I do, you said that. I saw other people mentioning online that especially when the 7th movie came out, they were saying like the 7th movie for Neve Campbell, Sydney, was the most time that she's had like her own agency and story since the 4th movie. And I saw someone comment and said that on X, they were like, well, she didn't even have her own real arc in the 4th movie either. And it became this little big argument about that. And they weren't entirely wrong. Like she has a lot to do in Scream 4. She's in a lot of scenes. But like it isn't her story at all. You can argue that like the whole like, you know, family connection and all this happening to her family and like what that makes her think about, you know, she has those scenes where she walks in on Jill and her boyfriend like climbs through the window and she's like, oh, you remind me of me and all this stuff. So there's all those callbacks to Sydney being a teenager and watching Jill go through all this stuff, but it still isn't Sydney's story. And I kind of agree with that. Like she has a lot to do, but like she really doesn't move anything forward, if that makes sense.
No, all she does is react to what's going on around her. She provides like commentary for the plot, and that's it. She'll give us some like remember ones every so often, and but otherwise she doesn't do anything new in this. It's not you wouldn't come to this movie for the next part of Sydney's story.
Right. Yeah, because it's really like fun that they go back to Woodsboro, and that could add on to some of her story. And that's kind of some of the stuff you get, like you're saying, Jill in her room with her boyfriend, like we get a bit of that of just like, oh yeah, this was me. This is reminding me of, when it was me in my room and my boyfriend leaving out the window. So that stuff's good. But more of the Woodsboro stuff that makes it fun and exciting for me is kind of like another 4 in a franchise, Halloween 4, where it's been 10 years since Michael Myers did his stuff or came back and did his stuff, and everybody knows about it, and they have masks out there, and they're putting on masks, and they're like, I'm Michael Myers, and you can have fun with that in the movie where townspeople are going after the wrong person because maybe they got a mask on. That type of thing is like what they capitalized in this movie as well. Like everybody knows what happened. Everybody knows about Scream. There's already been a movie made about the Woodsboro murders. Like there's been 7 of them.
Yeah.
Everybody knows facts of what happened, but only the movie facts. They don't have straight what actually would have happened. They just know everything about the movies. Like when Kirby says, oh, just like in Stab, or I guess Your Life. Like just like
Your Life.
It's so good. Like it's so funny that like they know everything, but only because of movies. They know everything about the movies.
Well, and not to keep bringing us back to this point, but bringing up Halloween 4, the one thing that Halloween 4 didn't have to worry about was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
They didn't have to figure out where she fit into this.
Where she would fit in that story. Yeah. And I think because like Neve Campbell, like even in Scream 3, like she doesn't have as much screen time as she does in the first 2 movies because she was filming another movie and they only had her for like a certain amount of time, and you can kind of tell that because she's missing from like the whole middle chunk of that movie. And I think because she has much more screen time in Scream 4, a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is like the Sydney that we remember." Like she has full agency in this film, and like she does have a lot of scenes, and she's great, and she kicks ass. She does typical like Sydney Prescott stuff. But I have with like some of these reappraisals that they do kind of realize that no, this is more like, and I wish it would have been more of like the younger set story. I mean, I guess they kind of do make it their movie, but a lot of it has to be worked around like including Sydney and characters too, but more so Sydney, and I guess in writing it there has to be more of a bigger connection than just like, oh, she's related to Jill or Jill's related to her, and like that was the only like real connection that they tried to establish between like the legacy character and like this new main character. But I guess that works as like a little bit of misdirection because like you would never think that like the cousin of Sydney Prescott would be the one that's like actively trying to kill her. So I mean, I guess that is the surprising part about linking them as relatives and making that the main point of her story in this. But yeah, I'm glad other people see it because like a lot to do, a lot of screen time. It's just like she doesn't really move the story forward. It's some of the other characters that do.
Yeah, but as much as that stuff doesn't work for me, the stuff with the new cast, the younger cast, works really, really well in this movie. Like I am engaged in their story. I want to know more about those characters. And I think setting up those characters as ones that I do care about, maybe not all of them, but you do sort of care about the characters, it's another, and they comment on it earlier in the movie where you have movies like Saw coming out at the same time. I'm on record saying I am not a fan of the Saw franchise. I don't like it. And in this movie they say the one character doesn't like the Saw movies because it's just killing people that you don't care about. Like there's no emotion behind it, so it's just people dying in somewhat creative ways. And so I liked the focus that they put on these new characters, and so you somewhat care about them when they die.
Yeah, I do not mind that Sydney doesn't have the arc. She does good shit in this movie still when she's like walking on the outside of the house and stuff and Ghostface is chasing her. Like, that's just classic. We get out of her what we want, but it's not her story. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine that it's not her story. I still absolutely love this movie and I love what she brings to the movie. But yeah, my focus in this movie is on the new story that they're telling, the Screamake, as they called it in this movie that they are telling. You know, they're remaking it and updating it with their Scream-like things. And that's what I'm really engaged with. So whether Sydney has the arc or not, it doesn't really hurt it for me at all.
Yeah. And we'll talk about the new characters a little bit more, but one of the new things that they did to you with the opening, which I want to know what you guys thought of that when you first saw it and what you think of it now. The whole opening within an opening within an opening. So there's 3, I guess, which is like really meta and like not really clever. I know it didn't really land a lot when the movie came out because I think people that love the Scream movies, like when they first came out, were like, oh, I get it. I think newer generation that was maybe seeing Scream 4 was like, this feels silly. I think now it's appreciated a bit more than it was like 15 years ago, but I wanted to know what you guys thought of their decision to do it that way.
I loved it back then and I still love it now. I guess maybe I'm just easy to please in that way, but like I think it's fun. And it did get me the first time. You know, I'm like, oh shit. And then I kind of the second time not so much because I kind of felt it. But then the third time I'm like, all right, well, what are we gonna do here? I wasn't sure. But then watching it now, knowing what's coming and what they're doing, it's a good time. It's fun. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I loved it in theaters. I was not a big horror fan back then when I saw it in the theaters, and Scream was kind of like I was a casual fan of Scream, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the addition of Stab in the first place, just being in the universe. That's awesome. That's so smart. They do that way back in the franchise, but to open up with the movie within the movie, it got me for sure the first time. I thought it was really fun. You've got some, big actresses at the beginning here as well to kind of tease
for this time, especially.
Yeah, for sure. The tease that you're a movie within a movie here. It's shocking. I like it. I hear a lot of like questions online of like, how do the Stab movies work then? Is there a Stab 6? Because in Stab 7, they were watching Stab 6. So the beginning of the movie is them watching. Does Stab 6 exist? Did they just go from 5 to 7 and you just get a little piece? I think it's kind of like the Friday the 13th where they play like a bunch of the old movie right at the beginning and then they go on with their new movie. So I think Stab 6 exists, but it just starts with Stab 6 again and people are like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah, but wasn't there time travel in Stab 7? Yeah, or 5. So they can do anything at that point.
They can do anything. Awesome. Yeah, they probably reset the timeline in 5, so 6 is a new 6.
Yeah, I actually like the opening too. I think it was also smart, like you said, casting at least big younger actors of the time during that time. Because like even like watching it now, I was like, wait, what was Sinead Grimes big for? I was like, oh, she's on the Now 2.0 remake, so that makes sense that she's in opening. And then Lucy Hill, I think Pretty Little Liars was
totally
pretty big then. Yeah, and then of course like Anne Paquin and Kristen Bell are big as well. So I do remember when I first saw it, I was like, once it got to the third one, I was like, this has to be the real one, right? They can't keep doing this.
Stab 8.
Yeah. And honestly, I know even that opening got reshot, like the actual real Ghostface opening, because Britt Robertson was actually in that scene a lot more, and you actually got to see her get killed. There's actually like a publicity still of her body like hanging from like somewhere from the ceiling in one of the like photos, like, but they actually cut her down and like wanted the other girl anymore. And I guess that was a Bob Weinstein decision too. And I listened to some of the commentary, and Wes Craven was trying to talk about it nicely, and he was like, it worked out really great for Amy Thiergarten and not so great for the other actors, but these things happen. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess the other girl had more to do. But even like that little southern girl, I mean, I think Amy Thiergarten was on Friday Night Lights or something back then, and so like it was really like smart to cast like those group of actors in that opening, because it was surprising. You didn't really know what to expect. And honestly, the first one does feel like a normal Scream opening until, of course, after you watch the movie, like you can tell in the dialogue that it's like purposely cheesy.
Right.
and purposely over the top. Like when Sinead Grimes' character is like going through her phone talking about the guy who's texting her, and he's like asking her questions about like all this random stuff, and like basically like how do you want to die or something like that. He said something along those lines, and it's kind of said so flippantly as if like of course this can't be real, right? So like once you watch it the first time, you kind of get that it's a nice little joke. I can see why people don't love it. I know a lot of people don't love the whole too meta thing because it's like some people are like, oh, we get it, you're trying to be smart and like all self-referential. Like it makes people roll their eyes. But
That's the whole point of Scream. Like that's literally the
exactly.
franchise. Yeah.
That's why it exists.
And like it's hard to top. Like once you have an opening, like the first movie's opening, like it's hard to top it. I mean, I think Scream 2 is the closest to topping it, like as far as like in its effectiveness, as far as like, oh, like that actually is like it's clever, it's funny, and then it gets really scary. And like I think like that one's like the last one that really works in like the most traditional way. So I think doing it this way, it was like, hey, you can't keep repeating yourself. You can't have like a typical opening scene where like the killer calls and then like there's a chase and then someone dies. I mean, it has to make it different. And I'm glad they at least attempted to. I thought it was like pretty well done.
And what does that even mean? Like, oh, you think you're smart? Like, that's just the movie. Like, I don't even like. I honestly can't wrap my head around what that means to say in this instance. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I think the impression is that they believe that it's the whole like, oh, I see what they're doing here kind of attitude.
Right.
Yeah,
but I guess that's what happens when and you're supposed to like really pinpoint on it, right? Yeah. But I guess that's like the difference between like a third generation watching it and a different generation watching it, because it's like, I get what they're doing.
I mean, go back to the first movie, and you don't even need to get what they're doing. They have a 15-minute portion of the movie where they tell you exactly what's happening, what you are watching, what the rules are. I don't know.
I think everything about Scream is I get what they're doing here, and that's why it's exciting. That's why it's fun. Even down to like Ghostface, you really see him run around and like trip over things. Like I think that is still like, I see what you're doing here. Michael Myers just walks everywhere. What if he ran? Well, maybe he would trip over a sofa if he ran. So that's why he walks. So I just like
over furniture and
exactly everything in the franchises. I see what you're doing. You get it. If you're watching a Scream movie, you should get excited if you see what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to show you everything. They're showing you. They're like Penn and Teller doing the Monty or what's the cups and balls trick with C3 cups. That's what it's like. It's like they're still gonna they're gonna show you everything, and that's what the fun of it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so we're all on the same page that the opening is. I mean, like you said, it's hard to top it, like top what they did before. It's better than like Scream 3's opening. I mean, I do like the idea of like, all right, Cotton Weary is like Leo Schreiber is like a surprising opening kill, but in terms of like, it feels very like generic compared to the first two openings. So like by the time you get to Scream 4, I was like, all right, at least they attempted to do something different. So I respected it. I thought it was done pretty well. I don't know how else you could really do that in a different way that would make sense for everyone. And like you said, it makes sense for Scream. Like I think the people that commented on like this is kind of silly didn't quite understand the franchise because they were maybe new to it. And
could be. Yeah.
I think that's always been the hard thing with the Scream franchise for people that don't really know a lot about it is it's mix of like kind of satire comedy with the horror, because like some people think it might be too much of that compared to like the horror stuff. But I've always thought that even in some of the like ones that don't completely work, that balance has always worked for that franchise, and I get it. And that's what made the whole franchise, stand apart from other horror movies. Like since it started in '96, that's why it became such a big pop culture like cornerstone when it first came out, and continues to be because it is so different from the other horror movies that were coming out at the time, because it actually made characters that were like, oh yeah, we've seen these movies before, we know what's up. Like I can't believe, like, I mean, I know there's been other meta movies before Scream, like even Wes Craven dabbled with it in Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
But like it is crazy that it took a while for like for that to be the norm, for to have characters that were like, okay, like we're aware of these movies, we know that they exist, like let's comment on them while these things are happening to us.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's making the satire movie is like one thing, and the meta movie, but they get away with it because they're not really making fun of themselves. You know, you're
Right.
kind of enjoying what people like about the genre of horror and the specifically slashers. You're like bringing forward some of the fun stuff and the funny stuff, but you're not really making fun of your own movie. You're still trying to make a good movie.
Right. It's self-referential and not winking at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like even the stuff that like I had a friend on me. Last time I watched this was a few years ago, but one of the things that he commented on when we watched it together was he's like, I just don't understand like these two girls. I mean, of course, like at the time when you're watching it, you don't know that one of them is in on it, but like these two girls like watch their friend and across the street neighbor just get violently butchered, right? And then one of them decides to like still go to this fucking stabathon. In fact, the whole high school goes to this stabathon, and they have like no care in the world that this is going on. But it makes sense for like teenagers. I think certain teenagers would go through certain things like that and still like kind of block it out in a way and like still carry on with like their day-to-day business. So like that, I think it does make sense within that university, even in like what they're trying to comment on as far as like teenagers who are so desensitized by the things that they see that they still carry on with like their day-to-day, like those things didn't happen. So like I think that even comments on that a little bit too.
I think though that there was a fight against that sort of mentality in movies though. Like eventually we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to be meta in a way where we're going to acknowledge that other movies would have gone with that tropey thing, but we're going to do that. And eventually we get to the point where we just call the movie Nope. Like we're going to, we're going to say nope, but we're going to acknowledge that movies before it would have done that thing. And we're going to say they did that before, but we're not going to do that now. So like, I feel like there is a fight against that we eventually get to, and we're still in now.
Yeah. I think in the Scream movies though, not acknowledging it is just leaning into the genre.
Yeah.
Like that's what these other movies would do. Yep. Nobody would explain it. That's what these kids would do after the person next door gets murdered. They'd go to the movie festival, you know, down the street. That's exactly what would happen in those movies. So that's what Scream does. They don't acknowledge it, and that's all part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And honestly, in the first Scream, they do that. I mean, there's stuff that happens like throughout that movie. They still go to that big party at Stu's house. Like several people have died. Cindy's been attacked a couple times, and they still go to the party.
Yeah.
So I mean, even they're even like doing that like in '96. So I know. I don't know if people are more observant of it now that they. And I know this is a complaint, but horror movies now, I mean, maybe as a different generation, like is taking them in where characters don't seem to react big enough to these big things that happen in the movies. That like in one scene they seem upset, and in the next scene like it's like that thing didn't happen. And I kind of get that, but I think I just kind of take it as like it's just like a part of the genre, and I don't really like kind of question it too much, I guess.
Yeah, if I saw my neighbor get murdered in a window across the street, I'm just going to be huddled in my room for 2 weeks, not getting out. That's a pretty boring movie of me.
That's an A24 movie. You just described, like, it's just that's how it opens, and then it just dwells on the sadness for the rest of the movie.
The whole movie would just be me huddled in my bed, and that's it.
Yeah.
It'll be cinema.
No other scenes other than you locked in your room.
Yeah.
I guess one of the other big new things, I guess, new characters and she became like a huge fan favorite is Kirby, played by Hayden Panettiere.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that like for years everyone was like, "Did she die? Did she not die?" And of course they revealed in Scream 6 that she in fact survived. When you saw it back in the day, were you convinced that she died, or were you like, "Oh, there's a shot that like she's alive"? Because I even got the same in theaters. And it's in theaters though. Even like some of the bigger reactions in theaters when I saw it was to her character. I was like, "Oh, they have to keep her around." Like she is like, you know, they make references to Charlie being kind of like Randy, even though he's really more like Stu in the end. But Kirby was Randy, and like Hayden Panettiere like killed that role. I mean, to the point where like when they bring her back in Scream 6, I know she had to be different. And she was older and she was involved. She didn't really feel so much like the Kirby from Scream 4, but I guess that would be right because she's not in high school anymore. But there's a certain energy that she brought to Scream 4. I think was a little bit missing from the character of Scream 6. It was right. It was nice to have her back, but like watching it from this, like from the moment she's on to her final moment, she's like completely on the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like she's probably the best new addition of the
Yes.
bunch, other than maybe Jill, because like Jill has the big moments at the end, but like hey, that was like the very well written character and really, very well played by her, I thought.
Yeah, no, before she comes back in Scream 6, I figured she was dead. It felt like the movie was kind of ending with a clean slate. Like there's none of those young characters are left over. Nothing's going to carry over from this movie. They can kind of do whatever they want after this. I figured she was dead. Going back and rewatching it, you do see the last sort of like glimpse you see of her, like she's still kind of moving. So it still works. It works to bring her back, but no, I assumed she was dead.
That's exactly where I was, Alex. When I watched it before, I was always thinking, like when I watched it in theaters and then I watched it after that, I was always thinking she's dead for sure. I never even thought that they could bring her back in any movie. But now watching it this time and knowing she comes back, you're like, okay, yeah, she got stabbed like a couple times in the stomach. Yeah. She's kind of moving on the ground. They don't show her die. Like they don't mention it either. They just walk away from that scene. And Gaius, hearing you say that, you know, maybe they were going to set it up for a trilogy or something like that. I think they were leaving it open to bring her back if there was a good response, because we don't see that death like we do with other people, where we just like see their dead body for sure. We don't get that with her. And I agree. She owned like every scene she was in. She was crushing it. She was owning it. She's so cool. She's got a great haircut. Like
that
she loves
power
haircut.
That's one of the things I thought too. Was like, it's like the hair is on point on top of everything else. Like everything about her exuded. Like I was like, Jill, if you're gonna have fake high school friends, maybe keep her around. Like, I don't know. Yeah. She seemed like one that you would maybe want to keep around. And I'm sure privately her and Charlie had discussions about like maybe, because I think he didn't want to kill her. I think he was pretty bummed that like she finally noticed him in a way that like when they were like watching the movie and she's hitting on him and telling him to make a move. I kind of think in my own head that like he had private conversations with Jill, like, all right, we got to keep her. Like, we're not going to kill her. I mean, I think he made the ultimate decision, like, after what she did, because he makes a comment like after he stabs her once, and then before he stabs her again, he says it's too late, and then like stabs her again. So I think he really wanted to keep her around because he did have a crush on her, but she kind of like made her move a little too late. He was like, well, you know, fuck you then now.
He's too far in at this point. Yeah. Things could have been different. Yeah, she's and I love her reaction to when fuckface boyfriend comes in the room and
God,
she's so pissed.
Her line,
get out of my house.
Yeah, she's just like, who invited you, Trevor? That's like the conundrum when he like walk. So like even though Nico doesn't have a lot to do in the movie as Trevor, it's those last few scenes that he has at the house that like are played for comedy that are like so funny. Like he plays it all kind of dumb and aloof.
Oh, he's so oblivious.
And that it's like so great. And like her in that moment, her face, like when she's just like who invited you? And then when he like kind of walks away and she's just not Dutch, like get out of my house. like why are you here? Like that whole little like trio, and they're like, and like the guy who played Robbie Mercer is also really good. They really cast the high school clique like of friends like really well. They all had good chemistry with each other, even though Jill just kind of like set them up just to be murdered for her grand scheme. But like they all felt like friends that grew up with each other. Like they, I actually got like history out of that, and that's hard when you introduce new characters in the franchise that's 4 movies in at that point.
Right.
And like the fact that you mentioned earlier that they end up being like more interesting than like the legacy set because like, they because they feel so fresh and new having them, but like it was all, except poor Olivia because she gets killed too early, but like the rest of them are all, I think pretty well established, and they're all probably one of the better ensemble of the Scream cast. I think.
Yeah, this is before like the super plot armor that the characters will eventually get.
Right. Everybody lives, even though they get stabbed like 8 times. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well.
Gaius, I like that you mentioned that it feels like this group has history because like some of these friends, you look at them and how they react to each other and you're like, why would you be friends with that person? But then you think to like your own group of friends and you may have that person in there and it's like, well, because you grew up together and they've just always
Right.
been there.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's why they're the friend. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
keep them around.
Yeah, like you can tell that Kirby tolerates Trevor because like Jill probably like tells her too, like, well, like he's not that bad, and she's like, whatever. Like when he calls, like when they're in the room together, she's like, I'll handle it. Like
Yeah.
she is that best friend that like has her back. And I love when she's at the Stabathon, she's like, oh, like Trevor's here, and like he's like, hey Kirby, and she just flips him off without even like looking at
So
him.
good.
Like she just.
Yeah.
But like even with like antagonists and relationships like that is history too. So like it just shows that they have like it's not just like. I hate when movies like this seem like they just throw people together and like it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't seem like they have any real connection. And I actually got the impression that they all did. Even in the end, like I said, it feels like it was just cultivated by Jill to kind of have a set of friends that were similar to Sydney's. I just feel like she planned like all that in great detail.
Right.
And who she met and who she made friends with. Like I really, it seemed like when I think about it, like Longenard, like how it's like when did she really plan on doing this? At what point? Like was this just like a high school thing and she was like in the last few years she did it, or even as like a little kid she saw this, it was like, oh, I'm gonna like this is what I want for myself. Like I think about those things when it comes to Jill. Like when did she start like putting this into motion? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough because she does seem like when she does reveal her plan, like this has been in the making forever. Like everything in her life has led her to this moment.
To this moment.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, everything. I like the idea that she picked the right friend group just to create that similar type of friend group because they do feel really real and they are held together by Kirby for sure. Like if you think of all those scenes where you're thinking of them like hanging out and being actual friends, it's like Kirby at the center bringing them together with those types of like reactions toward Trevor where she'll just flip him off but like probably tolerates him around Jill, things like that. And just the who invited you, Trevor, is just the funniest line in the movie. It was she was so funny. But I love this Trevor guy too. Like it really works that he just pops in and he's like kind of nothing and then pops out. Like
he pops in and out of the movie. I mean, I know that's must suck as an actor to know that like you filmed so much more and it got cut. But like in like retrospect, the fact that he just kind of moves in and out like a ghost, like I was like, oh, he's still in the movie. Like, but when he comes in, he makes a little impression and he goes. Like it's not like he's bad in it. Like he just like he gives his 2 cents and he like disappears and then comes back again. Even when like he's about to die, and I know it's just the chemistry of all of them in that room. And she just like she just shoots it. She shoots him between the legs, right? She shoots him right in the.
Oh, she shot him
right in the dick.
Yeah, that's a dick shot. Yeah,
right in the dick. And like it's just like he is just so like whimpering and like. And someone pointed out that I didn't even notice this that he's wearing a similar outfit to I guess almost similar to like Neil Prescott's outfit, Sydney's father in the original Scream when he's all tied up and like bound. Yeah. Okay. So there's like all those little Easter eggs. But yeah, he is like. It's a shame that some of his scenes got cut. I just wonder how much more of a red herring he looks like, because he already looks like one in the few scenes he had. I wonder what they did cut of him that made it more obvious that like, oh, we're really are pointing at him and trying to misdirect you. But
I think it gives Jill away more if you get more of him, because in the opening scene, like the third opening, the real opening, one of those girls said, "Did you call Trevor? Like, is that Trevor on the phone?" So one of those girls is the girl that was cheating or whatever that Trevor was cheating with, or that Trevor left Jill with. And if they just leave that little line there, then it still works nicely later. You're like, oh yeah, of course she went and killed one of them because that's who he was cheating with. But if you keep going back to it, if you keep like reminding us of that, I think our brains can get there a little easier that it could be Jill.
Right. I think we get the perfect amount of Trevor in this movie because we eventually become like Kirby, where he pops up and we're just like, fuck you, Trevor. And then we can move on with the rest. Yeah, we can move on with the rest of the movie.
Why are you here?
He's so good. I think he's perfect. I think every time he pops in, we get the right impression. Like I think we get the right impression from him. And so I think whatever they edited, it does suck as an actor to film a bunch of stuff and then be cut a lot out of the movie. But whatever they cut, like it's perfect. Every time he enters a scene, I feel like I'm getting the right impression from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really dig almost all the new characters, and I think Gail, and she has a couple of scenes with like the new characters that I think really work, where she's just trying to like obtain info from them, like she's like like it's like they're on some like kind of newspaper beat because she's so old school and they're so like new school at that point. And then they have that whole like cinema club meeting, and it's so funny when they're like basically like, "Can you invite Sydney?" And she's like, "Sydney?" like yeah, like, why am I not enough? But yeah, I love that whole like cinema club scene where they like I think in some of the newer screens where you can tell like there's that scene in the movie where they have the character that is explaining the rules of like said new film, and it becomes a little like too on the nose. I actually thought that this scene, the way the two actors played it, made it less on the nose, and it felt like more like a standard like real conversation rather than like, oh, like this is like the new rules for like this particular movie. And I don't know if it's because it was written better or like it's because of how they played it, but it flowed a lot better than it has in some of the later movies out of this one.
Is there any more like on the nose version of that than the first one? You know what I mean? Like it's just I that's sort of like a staple for me in a Scream movie. Like I want that scene. I want it to be obvious. Like here's the point of the movie. This is the commentary. This is what we're doing. And I probably wouldn't like that if they started doing that in, Scream 5. But that's established that's what this franchise is. That they established it in the first movie.
Yeah, and then in the second movie, they have the great talk about sequels in the classroom. Right. That's awesome. And then you get to this one and you have the talk about remakes, because that's what we're doing in this movie. Basically, is we're doing a type of remake. So I really loved this scene. I love how it starts where Gail calls it movie club, and Charlie's like it's cinema club. Yeah. And it's like, that guy, that guy that's going to say it's cinema club. It's not movie club. Okay. Very good. Yeah. I really liked Charlie's character in this movie. I know it's like a little bit obvious, but I think, like I said before, I think we're supposed to think it's obvious. I think they planted an obvious one so that we can get even more shocked with Jill.
Surprise when it's her. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like his character. The guy who's just like obsessed with movies, knows everything about movies, but not in a fun way that Kirby is, but in just like a weird way where it's cinema club, it's not movie club. So yeah, loved that.
Yeah. That scene is made even more funny. There is a blooper that a lot of Scream fans love in that scene. It's when Gail has to say like about the Stabathon, like where is the circle jerk happening, and for some reason, like they could not get through it. Like Neve Campbell could like die laughing every time she said circle jerk, and it's just like that scene is like like seeing how much they went through it, and Neve Campbell is just so like genuinely like she's like, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll stop. and then Courtney Cox starts laughing because she's laughing, and they can't even like get through the fucking scene. And then like at the end of it, like Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell just hug each other like, how are we gonna get through this? it's just a really cool blooper if you haven't seen it. Like. Yeah,
I really haven't seen that. I got to look that up for sure. That sounds awesome.
Because she has different variations of how she says circle jerk, and I guess like Neve Campbell just can't hold it in. Like she's just like, I can't. This is too funny.
Excellent.
Did you catch the bust of Henry Winkler? When they're at school. See it. Yeah, so the locker scene, like towards the beginning of the movie, it's right like in the foreground. Off to the left, they have a bust of Henry Winkler, and it's so goofy looking. But I was very happy to see that.
I gotta check it up. Pop that in again. Yeah. One thing that I guess a lot of fans don't like, but some may, I guess, was a deliberate choice done by Wes Craven, is the actual look of the movie. Cinematography wise, some people call it.
I can see that.
Some people call it the Vaseline filter, which is I guess they said it was like an aesthetic choice because like a lot of remakes at the time looked like that. You can kind of see that even in the Friday the 13th remake. Right. But so many fans hate it that they hope that there is a 4K release coming out from Lionsgate that they hope corrects that. If it was a personal choice to kind of make it look at like some of the remakes that are coming out then as like a meta commentary on that visual aesthetic, then okay, I get it. But I can also understand how, because I do remember it being like it did look like I didn't say Vaseline, but I was like something was run through that to make it look all glossy. I wanted to know what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, the first like outdoor daytime scene was like blindingly white and hazy. I really did not like the daytime outdoor scenes.
Yeah.
Even some of the indoor scenes look like that. The lights were just glowing. It looks like shit. I don't like how it looks. I think it looks bad. I think that saying that they're making it like other remakes around that time is just an excuse for it looking like shit. Like someone had the idea to make it look like this, that's for sure. It doesn't look to me like those remakes though. Like,
no, it should have been more yellow if you wanted it to look like those remakes.
It didn't remind me of those remakes, and it should have reminded me of those remakes if it was doing its job, if that's why you did it. So I'm hoping that if there's a 4K release of it, that it fixes it somehow, because I threw this on. I was so excited. I love this movie. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. This kind of looks like shit.
Yeah, this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so glaringly different from the first three. Like there is I think even once you get to Scream 3, there is still like a certain visual aesthetic that looks similar from like those three films.
Yep.
And you get to this one, and it's just like that was like the one thing. Even like, when I read about that. Like, it was a deliberate choice, and I agree with you. I think it's easy to call it a deliberate choice as a commentary on like the remakes that were coming out at that time, and might be a nice choice to God rest his soul, to kind of like make Wes Craven look a little better for like making that choice. It just doesn't. It's just there's a lot of high yellow. I don't know. It's just like it just doesn't look. It's not the best looking Scream movie.
No.
Sure.
But you know what?
It's like glossy and like not glossy in the other way. It's just like everyone looks like kind of greasy and tan, and it's just like really like
it's been a minute since I've seen the fifth movie, but for some reason, whenever I think back to the fifth movie, I kind of also think like I don't like the way that it looks. It'll be interesting to revisit that one eventually, because there's just something kind of where this one feels like an episode of like Cold Case or what? No, not Cold Case. Yeah, was it called? What was that?
The CBS show, the procedural show.
Yeah. That because that show was like really white too. Like that's what I always associate with that show.
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of. This one or a Scream 5 reminds me of like a Netflix TV show. Like it has that.
Sure.
I can see that.
To it. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I know there's a lot of stuff we talked about, but is there anything in particular that stands out to you other than the Vaseline filter? Is there anything in the movie that you think doesn't work, hasn't aged well? Like anything that you would maybe change? Like anything that you can think of?
Nothing really for me that doesn't age well, because I do think that this movie, like I said earlier, gets better with time. It gets kind of more relevant. I kind of enjoy all the beats, all the steps of the way. Like enough for me to even like forgive how it looks. Like I just kind of get into it and it's fine. Like I kind of get over it. So yeah, I kind of think it just works. Nothing stands out to me where I'm like, that didn't quite work. How about you, Alex?
I think just everything that I've already kind of mentioned. I don't think there's anything else that doesn't work for me. It feels like parts of Emma Roberts' monologue at the end, like sometimes I'm into it and other times it feels kind of cringy, where I'm not really
overacting it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some of it feels intentional and some of it feels like maybe we should have taken another take.
Okay.
Give it another option. Like, okay, that was one way to do it. Like, now let's try it another way.
I
love it.
But no, I like I said at the top of this, like it surprised me by how much more I enjoyed it this time around than last time.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that comment you just have did remind me of something that did stand out this time, where I was like, that's not how it works. And it's now that I play a lot of movie trivia, when Kirby is just throwing out every answer she can think of, I'm like, that's not how trivia works.
I know you can't you can't show like 8 answers and like, okay, well, which one are you going with?
Like, I got it, I won. No, you can't just say all the answers. She did rattle off a lot of movies really quickly. That was impressive. But you can't just say 15 ansers.
Dean,
that scene, other than that little moment, is like so well done, though. I mean, it's funny that she doesn't even finish the question. She just like, she just interrupts.
Names all the remakes.
I do like that scene though, like that whole hesitation of like wanting to help him. and then Sydney's like, hey,
Yeah.
don't open the door if you can't trust him, and like
It's good.
because of course Sydney's gone through like not trusting her friends in the past, so she's like, be sure about it. I thought that was like a really nice big moment for Hayden Panettiere and that character. But yeah, that is funny that like she's so like confident. She's like, I fucking won. Like, well,
I won. I
if
beat
you
it.
say like 8 answers, then like I guess that one of those gotta be right.
Okay, that's how it works.
And man, what a comment on that period though, because she read off like so many remakes that I mean, it just had started when Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake came out. So that's what 2003 up until 2011 when Scream 4 comes out, and like there were so many that had come out when she started saying them all, like, oh yeah, we were oversaturated with a ton of these to the point where like when they started just doing stuff like When a Stranger Calls, I was like, you guys are just throwing like darts to the board, like no one's asking for that. Like yeah, but like a really cool commentary on that, I think, about that period. Do you what do you think about that whole period during that time? Were you for a lot of those movies that are coming out, or were you like, oh, like
I was actually somewhat checked out of modern horror movies at that time, because like it got to the point where I'm like, okay, these movies clearly are not for me. I was not into any of those reboots. We've covered quite a few of them on the podcast, and none of them work. Like they're all they're all very difficult to get through.
Yeah. And I mean, Alex knows this, but my
Dean
take
loves
is,
all of them.
Yeah, my take is, they're bad. Most of them are bad, but like that reminds me of the time. That reminds me of the time I was watching those movies. So I kind of enjoy watching them, but I don't think there's very many good ones, especially hearing her rattle them off like back to back to back. I'm trying to think, like, okay, which is the best one here? Which one is even good? Are any of these even good? She said Dawn of the Dead. I think that's probably the best.
If she starts with Halloween, I was like, oh no, don't start there. That's like
Bad start,
right?
Yeah,
please.
Bad start already.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh,
yeah, that might have been one of the last ones she said. Bad finish there. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, not very good.
Oh my gosh.
I do like the way that scene's cut, where it's going back between her and then like Sydney, like going through like the house and stuff.
Yeah.
Like him like giving her all those trivia questions, and it's like, I don't know. It reminded me, that was like pure like Wes Craven at that point. I think like some of that stuff that was like really just well executed, and kind of makes me miss him as a director. I knew this was his last movie that he did before he died, but to actually read that again, I was like, oh yeah, this was the last thing that he did before he died in 2015. And I mean, I hope he was proud of it. I mean, it'd be interesting if he was around today, if like for him to see like how many people have like reevaluated it and in the years since it came out, because there are some movies that like get like small fan base reappraisal, where like a small clique of people are like, you guys just didn't get it. Some people are still waiting for Halloween Ends to get that. Don't know if it will. But like this one has gotten it a lot. I mean, I saw a lot of people like celebrating on its actual anniversary date, and people really seem to really enjoy it a lot more than they did then. And like it is like one of those things that it really was speaking to something that was gonna happen, and it's happening a lot now. I mean, you see a lot more with like you said, like the whole influencer thing wasn't a thing when that movie came out, but it really was pointing at that. The whole like, everything being like posted online thing was kind of emerging then, but not nearly as big as it is now. Like we have like TikTok and Instagram stories and all that, and Instagram Reels, like comments on that too. So way ahead of its time, and like I think it deserves a lot of credit for being ahead of its time. And also, I think Emma Roberts, I think she kind of feels the love now. I don't know if I liked it then. When her during her big reveal and her monologue, I got it. I think some people maybe were like Alex, or like, oh, that could have used like one more take. Like if she would have said like one word differently. But man, is she not committed though by the end of it, when she starts stabbing herself, and like there's one moment where she stabbed herself and then she sides eyes with like that picture that's hanging on the wall, and like and she's like you can just tell her face like, oh yeah, I gotta run into that shit. I gotta sell it.
That's so good.
And she's so committed, and then by the time she like throws herself like onto that glass table, I was like, I don't know if you have to do all that, girl. I mean, I think the stab wound and maybe the face plant into the picture was enough.
Yep.
But
I think that would have done it. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like that scene from Liar Liar, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm kicking my ass, you mind?
And
Yeah,
then she makes
it's,
sure to crawl over next to Sydney, just like lay next to her. Like it's so like
She
it's
gets
so
her hand in the
so
same
funny at the
same
same time.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she makes it perfect. She makes it like so they can perfectly find her reaching out for Sydney. It's like she has it planned out, right? She's got everything there. It's all perfect. Whenever I think back to the scene, I always remember her obviously like flying through the glass table, like throwing herself through the glass table. But watching it this time, I think running into the picture is the best part. I think that
Dude, it was like, man, it's that side eye she gives it. Like she's like, oh yeah, I gotta do this now.
Exactly.
But she's so committed to it already. Like I gotta sell it. Like it's so done. So it's so real done. And like I love because Sydney, I think, tries to have these moments of like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. And I think that one time where she says like, Jill, these are your friends, and she's like, I don't need friends, I need fans. Like it's just like it's so that's such a good comment on that. Like she was like didn't care about any of them like whatsoever.
Yeah,
like not even poor Charlie. I don't know why Charlie didn't think he was gonna get duped. I mean, I guess because like that beautiful girl would dupe him, but like she's like I guess that's the point of her plan, that she did not make clear to Charlie like, I'm going to be the only one that survives this. Like, you also have to die. Like, just in case you weren't wondering, she just left that part out.
Yeah. I mean, I think any high school kid with that haircut is probably going to fall for this. So.
Yeah, definitely. When I was in high school, I just got into anything that the girl I liked was into. So, you know, if she was into murder, then I'm there. I'm with you.
Yes, I'm murdering.
I'll help you out. I'll hold the camera.
Murder and horror movies. I know that's so God. He really was like the most like. There's certain killers in these movies that feel obvious. He's one of them. And I remember when like seeing Scream in 2022, Mikey Madison is a great little actress, but like that girl is in on it like from the jump. I was like, I don't care how nice she is to Tara. Like I was surprised by the boyfriend more than. Like by Jack Quaid more than her. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, she has a look. Like it has to be her. She has to be one of them. Now I still on the fence about her being the one that killed Dewey. I know we're not supposed to think too much about like the whole height and who's in the ghost face suit.
Yeah.
Because like it's always like in real life it's a stuntman, right? So we can't really get too nitpicky about like, oh, who was the one that did that one? But that one in particular feels not right because I was like, I don't think that would be the case, but.
I remember seeing Jack Quaid for the first time and turning to my wife and saying, "He's the killer. It's him."
Clocked it. Right.
Yeah, right. I'm like, it's that very first conversation. I think they're like sitting outside somewhere. I'm like, him.
Yeah. You can never think of the height too much in these movies because like Emma Roberts is also, I believe, very short. I think she's
5'2", and they even gave her lifts. So like she's like 5'2" in real life. So she actually has a rare lifts, I guess, to like. Not be so short. Right. I guess when she auditioned, she was blonde and she was short. So they were like, we have to change these two things about you. And he was like, okay, I think we can. And so like
we can do that.
I had Hayden Panettiere, there's like an interview with them when they're promoting it. And she was like, I just walk on set. Like Emma Roberts is like a few inches taller out of nowhere. She's like, what happened? She's like, oh, like making me wear lifts. So she could like one, I guess, be like around their height, and then also when they have to reveal her, because even when they do reveal her when she's in the suit, she has to take it off. Like there is still like the height, the shot's like, oh, that's definitely her in the suit now. Definitely not a man. And then I'm always wondering like who kills who. I guess like Charlie did most of them, I would assume. In the movie,
because we would see. I mean, there are a couple of scenes where we're seeing Emma Roberts during the
right.
I think Jill must have done some though. I think like Jill definitely stabbed Gail because she knew about Gail's wound.
Right.
So that's like, it's not a kill, but I think she did stab her there. But I think she might have done some of them, but it's hard to say because usually, like you're saying, Alex, usually she's around somehow, you know, which is what makes it also pretty good to disguise the reveal. We also kind of get some moments with her, with just Jill, like from Jill's perspective, which also kind of hide our suspicion of her. And if you watch it back, like none of it feels like cheating. Like none of it feels
Nope.
like,
Yeah.
you know, we covered, Alex, we covered a movie, Cube 2 Hypercube, where somebody at the end of the movie was in on everything, but you had moments in the movie of her by herself trying to figure things out, and you're like,
Yep.
no, we had
That
moments
doesn't
of
work.
trying to figure things out. It doesn't work if she's in on it at the end. That's just thrown in there at the end. I think this like works. The moments alone with Jill still work for her character to be in on it or to be the one
Yes.
doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, like one of my friends was pointing out that I never really paid attention to this stuff, but he likes to like go deeper into it. So like the whole thing with like Olivia across the street, and they were like, well, they would have to know that because they actually invite her over to watch the movie Shaun of the Dead, and she decides not to. She says like, oh, it's a Grim Reaper there talking about Sydney, I'm not gonna go, and she goes to the house. And he was like, I wonder if the whole like even Jill being like, oh hey, I want to like do this really quick and call her on the phone. Like and do the whole like fake like scream voice thing. It's just like a signal to like Charlie, like yo, like she's at the
Right.
house. You know,
Yeah.
like so like so even like those little things like that make sense. You know, she's not necessarily like involved in the plan, it seems, but then when you think about it, like she really is. Like
Well,
because
Jill
like,
knew.
they try to work that go either way. Like she's like, well, she's
Yeah.
probably not gonna go up there. One, she doesn't want to be around my, you know, Grim Reaper like relative, and she feels like she's like the angel of death. So like I'm not going to your house. But just in case, here's the signal. She's there.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
I thought it-
And yeah, Jill's like, oh, I know she hates Simon Pegg, so we're gonna watch this movie.
Right,
Yep.
Specifically
He was like-
Simon Pegg.
She would come over for a walk to remember, not Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
Right.
Definitely not Shaun of the Dead.
I like that.
Oh yeah,
setup. I like that.
I
setup
like that stuff
too,
a lot.
Yeah, with the Ghostface voice as well, because Jill doing the Ghostface voice and doing like a poor job, then the next call they get is actually Ghostface, and Kirby's and it's from Trevor's phone, right? And Kirby's like, oh, he's trying to do Ghostface, he sucks at it, like Trevor sucks. And like that is really fun and funny and builds like the attention for us watching, knowing that it is Ghostface, just because they had that little scene of her just like pretending beforehand.
Yep.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up before we wrap up is Roger Jackson, who does the voice of Ghostface, is probably the meanest of the movies. I mean, he says some stuff in here that I was like, that I guess he improv a lot. Like the whole thing about like cutting Sydney her eyelids, like that whole line. I guess he improv that, and they were, and like Dev Campbell was like, that's a little much, but I guess it works for the movie. Like. And then when he makes fun of like the main girl in the main opening, when he says you're the dumb bomb with the big tits, like
Right.
we're gonna have some fun with you before you die. Like there's like some mean spirited like Ghostface stuff in this one compared to all the rest of them. It's like they were just going for it. Or I guess Robert Jackson was just like, okay, this could be the last one I do. I don't know.
But I mean, this is a movie
Going
where
on.
you're going to see a character's intestines spill out, like on the bed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
I'm fine with it.
it's
Ghostface
brutal.
is a dick. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Oh, by the way, a nice touch of like Sydney when she goes to Olivia's room and she slides down the wall all dramatic, and you just hear her hand like sliding down the blood. Like they made that seem like so like effectively gross. I don't know why. I mean, it's a horror movie. It's supposed to be violent, but that kill in particular is like the most violent one in the movie. And I was just wondering like why that one had to be.
Is it the most
Because, like,
violent
others-
one in the franchise?
Yeah,
You know,
maybe.
like,
It
it's
might be. And it goes on like a nice amount of time. It doesn't end quick. Like he's like, I think he like kicks her and punches her at one point, and like it's pretty rough. And then like almost tries to toss her out the window so they see it. Like even like throws his knife out to them, like like what's up? Like it's like a whole like thing. I mean I don't mind it, but I was like wondering like why that was so.
It's like a
particularly
Terrifier 2
violent.
kill. You know,
That's what I was thinking.
It's
That's
gonna-
gonna Art the Clown in there.
Gonna stuff salt in the wounds.
Yeah, I think it's just so that we really clock who's in the other room. We really know that like Jill is across the street. Jill's not in that room, and also Kirby. Like we just know they're both across the street, and so like they really make it quite violent. And it's it's like the first one that's happening like close to home. You know, it's the first one that's happening to the group, to the friends, and it's brutal.
Isn't it also going to be a commentary on like the remakes that are coming out too, where those
Right, make it bloodier. Yeah.
make
Oh,
it bloodier,
they're ultra violent,
gorier. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also, Anthony Anderson gets it pretty bad too. He gets like the knife of the
Ooh,
forehead,
Right in the head.
and then gets to stumble around. I don't know if that's what happened, but like it's fun. Yeah.
Well, so I was reading. Wes Craven said that he did it because of a story he had heard about a guy getting stabbed in the head and walking into the emergency room after he was
Okay.
stabbed in the head. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
basic fact.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he gets to say, "Fuck you, Bruce Willis,"
Fuck you, Bruce Willis.
Yep.
because he's a cop, and Bruce Willis is a cop who never dies
Yeah.
in movies.
Yeah, Austin Perkins don't do anything worthwhile. I mean, I guess they're up there with Dewey, who does nothing worthwhile either. I mean, like it's like, thank God for David Arquette, but doesn't do anything to really save the day. I mean, he does like get the whole hint of like the matching wounds thing, but that's with help of Gail Michigan.
But like Gail basically tells him that.
Tells
I
him.
was like,
Yeah.
how does she know?
Yeah.
He's
And
like,
all
oh damn.
Yeah. All he does is run into the room and get beat down with a bedpan.
Yeah,
And
like,
talks to him with the
come on.
bedpan. So like that made me laugh so hard because like one, Emma Roberts lifts and all, whatever, is still tiny as fuck. And the fact that she like decks him that well and it's like so like dead on, I was like, one, she ain't no joke. Like she's like, I'm going to like this is going to be my moment no matter what.
Right.
But like yeah, he runs in there and immediately gets like knocked out. And I was like, can we give like I mean I guess he has some heroic moments in like the other movies, but like this one he's just like
He gets nothing.
late.
Yeah.
He's always like too late. Like, he shows up
So
late.
useless.
You know, like when they throw Allison Brie off the like
Yeah.
parking structure, he was like, hey, get up there and go check it out. Like, no, too late. She's dead.
Yep.
It's like right in the middle of his like press conference. He's like, "We've got this all under control."
no.
Body down on a
Yeah.
the worst.
All right, guys, this is the point of the episode where we score this movie. I know you can do the letterbox 1 to 5, or you want to do it letter grade, however you want to do it. But I'll let the guests go first. Which one of you guys want to take it? What do we give Scream 4 after this anniversary rewatch?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm gonna do 3.5 ass flavored lemon squares.
Nice. Awesome.
Oh my god, why is I?
Out of 5, right?
I'm so silly that I just saw
Out of
that. Didn't realize like, oh, there your limit square stays like that. There we go. All right, I'm slow. I'm so slow.
Yeah, I really love this movie. I'm turning 40 this year. So 15 years ago when I saw this movie in theaters, I was 25. And when you turn 40, you think back to when you were 25 a lot and think of those times. So I remember seeing it in theaters. I remember I was with so many of my friends. I remember loving it. I don't really go to horror movies. I just felt very adventurous that day. And I was like, I'm 25. Let's live it up. Let's go to a horror movie. And I just had a great time. And that's just always transferred forward for me. Like I absolutely love this movie. It gives me like very comforting feelings. So revisiting it now as I'm getting close to 40 was just very, very nice and very fun. I'm going 5. I'm going 5 shots in the dick out of 5.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, shots at that. Yeah, it's interesting to think of it that way because I'll be 42 this year, so close to you. And like it, I do remember when I saw it. I actually took 2 or 3 friends with me who hadn't seen the other 3, so that day we rewatched the first 3 before we went to go see it, and it was a big exciting day for myself. I don't remember them loving the 4th one that much when we saw it in theaters, but I do know they've seen it years since and like it more now. But I thought it was fun. You know what? It's interesting because I swear I could have sworn there was like a lot of hype when it came out. I was surprised it didn't do as well when it came out.
Yeah.
I still don't quite understand it. I mean, maybe it just wasn't the right time for the franchise to come back because it came back in 2022 and proved that it has staying power. But I mean, at least in the opening night crowd where I was at, like it felt like people were feeling it. It was going to do well. And then I remember I saw those opening weekend numbers. I was like, not so good. I guess this is where this ends. We're not getting more of these. I'm gonna give it 4 Kirby Reeds because love that character so much. And I don't know, it's like Scream 2 is I love Scream. I know it starts all with that and it's a great movie. Scream 2 is my personal favorite of the bunch. and then and then Scream, and then this one. I think it holds up really well, like you guys said, and it's aged really well. I think it will continue to age well because like clearly we are in a society with younger people that this is not going anywhere. This kind of like fame obsessed internet cultures that this was really commenting on, for better or worse. I mean, some people use it for good, other people use it for not so good, but they definitely were talking about something that he saw it emerging, and like maybe like you said earlier, Alex, maybe the whole thing back then when it came out, you're like, I don't want to believe this is emerging, so I'm not really picking up what this is putting down, but it was definitely there, and we just had to like roll with the punches and deal with it.
Yes.
I know. I think it holds up. I think out of the sequels, it'll probably continue to hold up better than most. I think in hindsight, like probably even as like 5 and 6 age, I think it'll still probably hold up better than those, even though those technically did better. And I think it's way better than 3. I know, like 3 is my least favorite of the that franchise. So I don't know, it holds up well, and it also it feels like the last one, even with Scream 7. I think this was the last one that felt really like a Scream movie to me. Like, I mean, I think Radio Silence did well with like recapturing some of that with the 5th and 6th one, and Kevin Williamson did his best to do it with 7. But this one feels like the last one that feels like truly connected to those first 3 movies in terms of like the overall like aesthetic and like execution.
Right. There's a clear line between 1 through 4 and then 5 and on.
Yeah. And that could be because of Wes Craven. I mean, like the connection thread to those 4 movies is him, and that could very well be it. But I don't know, it holds up well even 15 years later, and I'm glad you guys were around to talk about it.
Thanks for having
me too. Yeah, that was awesome. I had such a
always
blast.
A pleasure, guys. I love doing this with you guys. It's always fun, and we actually have a spin-off show that's coming out very soon where we'll talk more about individual movies on that particular show. And since we all like horror movies on that team, probably we'll have more opportunities for you guys to come back and visit. So
let's do it.
Definitely do that. And of course, we'd like to hop on yours whenever we get an opportunity as well. I know like everyone's really busy and all that, but like you guys are always a lot of fun to do this with. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gaius. We always have a great time.
And as always, you listen to Back to the Blockbuster wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Good Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Listen to us wherever you get them. But also checking us out on the playlist because they are a podcast network, and they treat us very, very well, doing all the heavy lifting behind the scenes. So check that out. As always, Alex, Dean, also check out their podcast as well. We're going to link that information at the bottom of this episode. Very, very fun chats about horror movies. Always makes me wish that I really like started a horror movie podcast to one like this, but well, I try to sneak in as much horror as I can into the show. So like,
awesome.
You guys are doing it really well on your end. So thank you so much for being a part of this episode. And as always, guys, until next time. That's it for this episode of Back to the Blockbuster, and thanks for tuning in and geeking out with us over all things movies. Make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts and stay connected on our socials for more film talk. We'll be back soon with another episode. Until then, happy watching.